Hey, good day, everyone. And this is a continuation of our discussion on human population for our module three. No, so now here is the fertility as influenced by culture. So when we say that fertility is influenced by culture, this pertains to the cultural impact of the marriage system, family system, religious system, um, and subcultures, and also the norms, no, concerning family size. Okay, so now people want to have children because most people believe that a family in the presence of a child or children uh, it gives meaning to each married couple, and it creates and mold life. So the number of children in a family also depends on the culture a society or a country has. So some societies look upon families with few or no children with pity or contempt. And for them, the idea of controlling fertility may be shocking or even taboo. So most of the parents now have experienced that having no child, you know, is like a disgrace uh, or a bad omen, no, for some. Okay, so some couples also want to have children, no, to carry on the family name and values. So these are just some of the common reasons why people want to have children. But in contrast, there are reasons that hinder the desire to have children in most couples. So this includes the education and income status of many couples. So education affects the decision in the sense that most women with higher education desires more in spending time and money on other goods and activities, or simply they focus more on their careers and social status than having children. So, income greatly affects the desire to having children in the fear of not being able to sustain the children's need, especially for education or for the child's well-being. So the family income status has always been a greater factor to limit the production of children in a family. Okay, so here, uh, Frank Notestein was an American demographer who developed the demographic transition model. So this model gives a great help to understand and explain the connections between population growth and economic development. So what is the demographic transition theory? So it is a generalized description of the changing pattern of mortality, fertility, and growth rates as societies move from one demographic as a regime to another. So as you can see in the model or in the graph, the the blue curves are the rude birth rate, and then the ang kanang ang red is the crude death rate, and then the black for the non-curve in the trend for the total population. So the demographic transition model is divided into four stages. So the first stage is the pre-modern or the pre-transition. So it is characterized by high birth rates and fluctuating high death rates. So the population increase was kept low by Malthusian preventive and positive checks. Okay, so preventive means late age at marriage, and positive pertains to famine, war, and also pestilence. That's why population is at constant level on this stage. So there's no changes in terms of population. So now we go to the second stage. It is the early transition or birth of urbanizing or industrializing. So during this stage, death rate began to fall, but the birth rate remains high, which marks the onset of rapid population growth. So is the third stage is the late transition or the mature industrial. So birth rate now starts to decline while the death rate continues to decline, and the rate of population growth decelerates. So it is moving downward. Now, the fourth and the final stage is the post-transition or the post-industrial. So post-transitional societies are characterized by low birth rate and death rates, and the population growth is negligible or even enters a decline. This is the stage where there is already a fully developed society. Now, upon using the demographic transition model, some countries have tracked the remarkable success in population control. Countries like Thailand, China, and Colombia, which have a notable number in population, have already dropped more than half of their population in just 20 years. Also, countries like Morocco, Jamaica, Peru, and Mexico have low fertility rates by 30 to 40%. Now, these factors here helps in stabilizing populations. First is that growing prosperity, urbanization, and social reforms will help people become more focused on working and building their careers than attending to family responsibilities of having more children. Two, technology is available to bring advances to the developing world. This pertains to a more advanced and modern medicine to control population growth. For example, those contraceptives. And then third, less developed countries have historic patterns to follow mistakes from other developing country, could be a mirror and a basis in terms of managing population growth and its effect. And lastly, or fourth, modern communications provide information. Yes, it is now easier to educate people about the effects of rapid population growth and the ways to control it. For smaller families become prevalent, birth control becomes an essential part of family planning. So family planning program benefits not only parents and children, but also the society and nation. So by being able to keep the number of new births under control, it allows for less population growth. So planning for a child will be of great help to avoid the social, health, and financial problem if an unplanned pregnancy happens. Okay, so now reducing population growth by lowering fertility rate have been the focus of today. Thanks to modern medicine that gives us more options to control fertility today than the past generations. So now we have given many options to control population growth through the different contraceptive methods. So contraceptive methods have a range of benefits other than their primary purpose of pregnancy prevention. Contraception reduces pregnancy-related morbidity and mortality. It also reduces the risk of developing certain reproductive cancers and can be used to treat many menstrual related disorders. Okay, so the United Nations or the UN projects that the global population will reach 9.7 billion people in 2050. So, and population growth almost coming to an end at 10.8 billion by the year 2100. Really? So should we believe these projections? Okay. So now let us take a look at the population projection model of the United Nation. So the population of a country grows or declines through the interaction of three demographic factors: fertility, mortality, and migration. So in this graph, low projection suggests that world population might stabilize below 8 billion by the year 2050. So the medium projection shows a population of about 9.4 billion in 35 years, while the high projection shows that the population would reach nearly 12 billion by mid-century. Now, these successful family planning programs significant two societal changes. First is the improved social, educational, and economic status for women. This means that birth control and women's rights are often linked. No? Number two is that the improved status of children. Fewer children are born if they are not needed as a cheap labor source. Okay, so and also third, acceptance of calculated choice as a valid element in life in general and infertility in particular. So the belief that we have no control over our lives discourages a sense of responsibility. Fourth is social security and political stability that give people the means and the confidence to plan for the future. And last is the knowledge, availability, and use of effective and acceptable means of birth control. So an easy access to uh, birth control. Okay, so here, this is a map displayed. This is a map that shows how total fertility rates varies among countries. The shade of the country corresponds the magnitude of the indicator. So that means that the darker the shade, the higher the value. So the map shows the average number of children that would be born per woman at the end of her childbearing year. So the end of her um, fertility. Okay, so it has been shown that nearly half of the world population lives in countries where the total fertility rate is at or close to the replacement rate. So what is replacement rate? Replacement rate pertains to a rate of 2 children per woman. This as a result to a relative stability in terms of total numbers. So global fertility rates are generally declined, and his trend is most pronounced in industrialized countries like in Western Europe. Okay, so to end this discussion, I want you to think and ask yourself as future's emerging hope. So you are the world's future hope. No? Where wars, corruption, colonial history, religious uh, political tensions, and other factors have prevented the economic and social development while perpetuating high population growth. So the question would be for you as future emerging hopes. Can we overcome all these problems and create a more humane and sustainable world? Okay, so those are some things that you need to ponder as we end our discussion on Module 3, Human Population. Okay, thank you and have a blessed day.